Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. So, I've seen the comments. I don't know. They could be trolls. They could be fake people. Who knows? But, they say, well, why don't you ever make any positive content? And I'm like, well, I try to make at least 1 or 2 videos a week that are strictly positive, uplifting. I read scripture. I try to encourage people, community, your heart, finding the Father, whatever it is, family, preparedness, but try to make it positive at least a couple of times a week. So anyways, I was thinking, all right. I'll try to make a positive video today. They don't usually get watched very much. I think it's the algorithm, fear sells. And so that's what, they want to promote. Whenever I make positive videos or, kind of more devotional kind of videos, they don't get watched very much, but I still try to make them. So anyways, I was going to make another one today, but there's some stuff going on that I think is kind of important. So we're going to have to push that off. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe we won't be here by tomorrow. Maybe we'll be waking up with a really, really bright sun, not rising from the east, if you know what I mean. So it has to do with the whole Russia, Europe, NATO war thing. And I know that we've all grown really, really tired of it. I get it. I have too, right? Do something or don't, quit this lingering on. Well, it looks like it's getting close to actually doing something. So you're familiar with, that over the last week or two that there's been these drone and plane incursions by Russia, or what appears to be Russia, into certain NATO countries, Romania, Lithuania, places like that, Poland. And, they didn't do anything about it. Well, President Trump ordered, is what the news media is saying. He, suggested, demanded that NATO just shoot these down. And, of course, remember in the last several days, the tone from President Trump on his, relationship with Russia or favoring Russia or peace with Russia has changed dramatically, where it's like, no, we're just going to go into war. It's what it seems like anyways, right? Making certain statements. So he says, take down these planes. Well, since then, U.S. jets have scrambled over in Alaska because Russian planes were getting too close to U.S. territory. That's not that uncommon. That happens every year. And if you look, what we claim is our territory over there overlaps or gets really close to theirs. And it's not like they're flying over mainland Alaska. But anyway, so there was that. There's been a lot of drones popping up in like Norway and stuff. Almost sounds like the drones that were popping up here in New Jersey. Not here, but in the United States in New Jersey, because I don't live anywhere near New Jersey. Months ago, not knowing who they're with, what they are, or anything. But the suspicion is that there's something to do with Russia, some type of spy drone or whatever. So anyways, now the word from a lot of these NATO nations is that we're going to start shooting stuff down. We're going to shoot down a drone. We're going to shoot down a plane. If it's Russia and it flies into our territory, we're going to shoot it down. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think it's ridiculous that the laws are here that you can't do that if someone's flying a drone over your house. That's a totally different thing, I guess. But, if Russia flew a plane into our country and we didn't give them permission, a fighter jet and stuff, I wouldn't have a problem with the world shooting it down. Anyway, so they're saying that. Well, the ambassador, I think, to France, issued a warning. The Russian ambassador to France issued a warning saying that if NATO shoots down a Russian plane, that World War III will immediately start. It will happen. And then Lavrov, which is their defense minister, pretty much said today that NATO has already declared war on Russia. Now, they haven't. I'm sure he was speaking figuratively, so to speak. But tensions seem to be rising dramatically. Moldova, reports coming out of there that their citizens are getting notifications from the defense ministry or whatever, the military, for conscription. The reports are coming in from most of the eastern NATO countries that, border Russia, that they're going on alert, that they're getting ready, defenses, high alerts, all this kind of stuff. And then probably the big thing that's happened in the news today is I can't ever pronounce the guy's name right. The Secretary of War. Now it's war. It's not defense anymore. Anyways, Pete Hegseth, whatever his name is. It's being reported that he sent out a notice to all the top generals, all the top commanders, admirals, generals of all the branches of the military globally, and that they are being ordered to come back home for a very top secret, top level meeting with him in the Pentagon. I mean, there's not any word whatsoever what that meeting is. They're saying that it's been many decades since something like this has happened, where they have recalled these top level commanders from all over the world to come back for some kind of high level meeting. I mean, it could just be, hey, we're not going to have trans people anymore in our services, so if you find them, you need to rat them out. Or it could be, hey, we're not going to let any far lefty Antifa people be in the military anymore. So if you find out there's Antifa people serving in the military, you need to kick them out. It could be something like that. But of course, the rumors is that we are literally on the verge, like days away from some type of confrontation with Russia, and that they're bringing the top commanders together to let them know that things are going to dramatically change. I don't know that for certain. You don't know that, and the people that are saying it online, making the speculation, certainly don't know that either. But that is the speculation. Now, is this being hyped up overly? Possibly so, yes. But if you try to push through the things that could potentially be hype and just look at the things that we know is happening as much as we can know, it does appear as if things are escalating. One thing that I saw online that kind of rung true to me is that it would be more likely for Russia to try to get NATO involved. That for Russia's position is that they would rather have NATO involved in this, not so much because Russia wants to defeat NATO, but it would look much better politically for Russia to be defeated by NATO than to be defeated by Ukraine. I'm not saying that Ukraine is really capable of that, but if the United States and NATO really, really throw it all in with Ukraine, it's possible that could happen. And so it would look, it's better politically speaking back home for Russia to say, well, we had to back down because now we're not just against Ukraine, we're against half of the world, the whole West, all of NATO and the United States, and it's too much, and so we have to back down. That would sell better in Russia than we got defeated by Ukraine. So that's a possibility. I hadn't really thought of that until I read that. It does kind of make sense that it's possible that Russia is going to try to provoke NATO to get involved because it would be easier for them to give up, throw in the towel. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what's happening. It's something to think about. What does look like is happening is that things are rising. There's a lot of people that are in more expert positions saying that tensions are worse right now with NATO and Russia than they've ever been. That things are not going well, and that many people, at least in pretty high positions, feel like it's about ready to pop off big time. So I don't know. I will say this thing of recalling all these generals sounds like a pretty big deal. I can't imagine the logistics and everything of recalling all these generals and admirals, these top commanders, to just give them something that they can do over a Zoom call. You know, I mean, they have secured ways to send messages. You know, well, we're not going to have Antifa anymore. You know, if you find out someone's some kind of Antifa person, you need to rat them out and kick them out. I don't know that needs to have a big top, you know, level, highly secretive, closed door meeting. Talking about the possibility of really going to war with Russia, that could be it. So, I mean, it's also could be to just scare Russia, make them kind of blink. I don't know. I don't know if that would happen at this point. I almost feel like Russia's position is that they're all in on this one. It's all or nothing at this point. They've gone too far. You know, they've passed that, you know, that Rubicon, that it's all or nothing at this point. And so it's getting tense. The United States did a test on a thermonuclear weapon today. That's not too unusual. We do those every once in a while. But yeah, that's happened. There's a lot of other stuff going on too. Most of it is somehow regards to war, weapons, alliances, and stuff like that. But pretty much all of it, when you put it all together, looks like war is on the verge, that it's just on the edge of it. And so we need to get ready. And I'm not saying all this again. You know, I know I started off talking about how I was going to make a positive and uplifting video, and here I am talking about World War III. I'm not saying this because I want people to panic. And I understand that some of you, you're like, man, this sounds really bad. This sounds bad. It does. It does sound bad. And it looks bad. And it could potentially be bad. But I want you to know something, that number one, the most simplest thing is that human beings have survived great adversity for a long, long time, many, many times over. And so you can survive this. You can survive on a lot less food than what you take in. You can survive on a lot less money. You can survive without technology. You can survive without air conditioning. You can even survive without heat in your home. It's been done before. We've just gotten really used to those things. So even if things get super, super bad, a strong-willed person, someone that's got grit, is going to make it and figure it out. Secondly, if you have tried the best that you can to do at least some level of prepping, whether it's food, stuff, self-sufficiency, educating yourself, all of that, some of that, you are already many, many, many times more prepared than the average American. Because the average American has maybe 3 days worth of food in their home, if they're lucky. And that's if they eat all the condiments in the refrigerator. It's just most people don't. They're not ready. They have no clue what to do. The average person now, they couldn't grow food if their life depended on it, literally. They have no clue what to do. I mean, there's people that don't even know how to put gasoline in their own car, or pop the hood of their car, or to cook a meal for themselves. They just don't know how. And so even if you've already done the simplest and basic things to kind of start your preparedness, you're already way ahead of everyone else for the most part. And then there's also the thing that those of you that are covered by the blood of the Lamb, those of you that have given your hearts over and your lives over to our Messiah, Yeshua, you already have a hedge of protection. He doesn't say that you won't go through things. In fact, he says you will. But it's also in Scripture that he will be there with you every step of the way. And so that no matter how bad things are, you're not going to be going through it alone. So even though things are looking bad, we've got the dollar it's just going down the toilet, you know? Just is. Prices of stuff just keep going up. Wars seems to just want to happen all over the planet. All four corners of it seems to be. Just wants to go to war. And a lot of other stuff. Civil war here in the United States. We got people taking people out on rooftops and all kinds of stuff. It looks bad because it is bad. But that doesn't mean that we should lose hope. That doesn't mean that we should give up. It doesn't mean that we should live in fear. Because we've done the things physically, mentally, and spiritually that we can to prepare ourselves for it. And we do the best we can, and the Father will be there to help carry us the rest of the way. That's how we do it. And so when you hear these things of the possibility of a conflict between NATO and Russia, maybe days or weeks away, don't let that cause you to fall apart. Because as bad as that is, you can still survive all this. And so don't give up and don't lose hope. It's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.